This episode is brought to you by Groove Washer, the best record cleaners and protective sleeves for your vinyl collection. Ask for the Groove Washer from your local shop or go to groovewasher.com. Discount code VinylGuide10. And now, on with the show.
Oh, well, hello, everyone. It's Nate. Welcome to episode 407 of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. And today we have with us as a special guest, Mr. Craig Locicero, most known as founder and guitarist of Bay Area thrash legends Forbidden, Dress the Dead, Spiral Arms, The Boneless Ones, and more. And this isn't Craig's first time on the show. He was featured on episodes 135 and 136 way back in 2018. But you know, Craig and I came from similar circles in the Bay Area. We both kind of grew up there. We've remained connected throughout the years, and it's an absolute pleasure to catch up with him, especially since I've apparently contributed to his vinyl collection and reigniting at least some of the desire to rebuild his record collection. We talk all about that today, what bands he's discovering, what records he loves, plus the rebirth of Forbidden, the challenges, the emotions, the careful orchestration needed to relaunch the band, the offers coming in for festivals, the future of Forbidden, and lots more. I really enjoyed this conversation. Plus, there's a super extended version of this interview only available to show patrons at patreon.com/vinylguide. An extra 20-25 minutes with Craig, more band talk, more Kiss collectability discussions, more, and again, only for show patrons at patreon.com/vinylguide. Jump up there now, help support our show, enjoy all the extras, including a commercial-free, high-resolution, and super extended version of this interview with Craig Locicero. And that's only at patreon.com/vinylguide. And finally, if you're just learning about the Vinyl Guide podcast, welcome to the show. We have literally hundreds of other episodes and interviews available to enjoy anytime. Interviews like Billy Bob Thornton and J.D. Andrew of the Boxmasters, episode 403, Mr. Bungles, Bear McKinnon and Danny Heifetz, episode 402, Neil Fallon of Clutch, episode 397, Jay Mascis of Dinosaur Jr., episode 393, Tim Herb Alexander of Primus, episode 388, Perry Farrell and Eric Avery of Jane's Addiction, episode 387, Chris Shiflett of Foo Fighters, episode 382, and many more. Subscribe to the Vinyl Guide in your favorite podcast app. It's all free. Hundreds of interviews available anytime. Scroll, download, listen, and enjoy. And with that, let's get straight into our conversation with Craig Locicero, all about his record collection and the rebirth of Forbidden. Craig, thank you so much for making some time. I know it's been a while since you've been on the show, but I'm glad we've stayed connected, stayed friends, and online and throughout the pandemic. I've watched your record collection grow tremendously. So before you start telling me about Forbidden Rebirth, let's talk about your vinyl rebirth.
Yeah. Well, I can attribute it partially to you, because when I did the show, I was just like, I was literally reflecting upon all the records I used to have and thinking, here I am doing this, the Vinyl Guide. It's like I had so many great albums, and a lot of them got melted and destroyed in the back of my singer's 65 Mustang. Russ had a 65 Mustang, and when he first joined Forbidden Evil, or we started, he's like, hey, you got a bunch of records I can listen to and learn this thrash metal stuff. So I gave him all kinds of shit that included my Iron Maiden picture discs and singles and all my Venom records. Like, that would have helped, right? Venom, that didn't help him. But I gave him a Merciful Fate EP. So that really made me reflect. And then I talked to my wife, because this is when we did that over 5 years ago, I think.
2018.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
2018. Okay. So when we did that, it was way pre-pandemic. And I was like, we need a record player. So we just invested into that. And then it was like, okay, let's see what we can find. And then we went to every record store and started piling up and finding the dollar sale at the Record Man in San Mateo, which is a great little place. And then, then you just you end up with a bunch of stuff. You're like, I don't want this. And that ends up over in this pile. and then you really start digging into what you really want. So I got a pretty good collection, about 700 right now in that 4.5 year span. Yeah. Doing all right.
Oh, that's about one. That's several each week. That's quite a clip.
It was, and then it goes for months. It's like anything else. You start binging, like, binge, then purge, and then we go for months where we don't. But my son's all over the record thing too, and he likes different stuff than I like, and what I like as well. But he's like into Arctic Monkeys, and he really likes what's that prog band from from the UK that's so popular? Stephen.
Steve
God,
Wilson?
what's her name? Yeah, Stephen Wilson. Yeah,
Porcupine Tree.
He loves Porcupine Tree. I went and took him to see Porcupine Tree here, and we got some really good tickets and had a little table. And when I wasn't bored to tears, I was completely immersed in it because it was amazing. But it's like it's so safe, so safe. It's good. It's just safe. Like I'm a thrash guy. That's why I like Radiohead.
There's no pit at Porcupine Tree. Are you saying no stage diving, nothing?
Well, they have something that resembles heavy at points, where it's like really heavy-ish, the gent E, and it's good. I mean, I'm not saying anything. There's nothing bad to say. It's just it's clinical and it's sterile and it's fucking good music.
Yeah, of course.
They have some moments, but it's just not my thing. But my son loves production. He really gets into production and stuff too. He's got my ears. For sure.
Oh, okay. So the family shared record player. Is that something that he's got a nice vinyl collection too? Is he into that as well, or is he kind of streaming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did some cool stuff for me too. Like it was a Christmas a couple years ago. He bought me the Motorhead box set for Christmas. It was the entire box, like super thoughtful, nice thing that he did, and with money that he had saved up. And he has his own stuff. And my wife had a big collection of records from when she was a kid too. And a teenager, and she had like some of the same stuff that I did still have, like Metallica's Kill 'Em All original pressing, Motley Crue's original leather records pressing of Too Fast for Love, like
really
old Zeppelin, some old Stones. It was cool. It fit right into the collection. The last thing I shouldn't say the last thing, but the last thing I'm going to interject on this is I'm not the guy who collects every single record of a collection. I'm the guy who collects little parts that I like. Like some people have to have it all. And then just those, like, with the Kiss collection, unfortunately, I do have Dynasty. It was somehow it was given to me some way. I can't remember exactly how I got it, but it would have never ended up in my collection.
You destroyed your original one. Okay,
you remember that?
Of course, I remember.
Yeah. What a dick, right? I mean, I just took them all outside and just tossed them into the air. I watched them all crash in the street, and I was just like, "What did I do?" It was such a feeling of regret as soon as I was done. I wish I had those, but I have all the Kiss up to there, up to Dynasty, and I won't go unmasked. And I might want to get Creatures of the Night because I feel like that was the last one that it's not really, it had its moments. It's kind of rocking.
So you've had this record renaissance. What are some of the shops in the Bay Area that you hit up all the time?
Well, I mentioned the Record Man, which is really good, and we have the standbys, the Amoebas, and there's not as many Rasputins as there used to be. There's a really cool record shop called One Bad Apple over here in Castro Valley that's actually quite good. And I picked up numerous things there. They had a Kiss Alive 2 in perfect condition with the book, reasonable prices. Really cool guy runs the place. A lot of it. I mean, there's what is it? Planet, not Forbidden Planet, Planet B or Planet something in St. Louis. When I visit my friend, I'll always hit this record store in St. Louis, and I come back with this. I bought stacks of records from that place already from the 3 times I've been in there. That's what I usually find. Like when I pick up my records is when I go out of town. I find myself doing things like that, like, let's see this record store. Oh my God, they have everything I've ever wanted. I can't have it all. I don't, and so I've got to be sparing about it. I mean, our record, the holders we have, I see what you have back there. I have basically 2 of those blocks of 4 full, and then everything else is now just becoming an offshoot side pile. It's like that's where my utopia ends up. certain things that I just don't, just doesn't sit in the alphabetical order anymore.
You know, it's funny you mentioned going to St. Louis and looking for records. Whenever I travel, going to a record store is always such a top priority, not because I'm a record nerd, but because it's also record stores are in the neighborhoods of all the stuff I like. That's where the good bars are. That's where the good burrito shops are, right? You know,
Right.
They always seem to kind of be in that same neighborhood with the record shops.
Yeah, that's a good part of homogenizing. Yeah, that's the good part, as opposed to like a Starbucks and a every same chain Chinese restaurant and a Subway and like you're right. It's like kind of the better, cooler part of town. As Planet Score, it was the record store. I just looked it up. Planet Score in St. Louis. Fantastic selection of hard rock and metal. I was blown away, and funk for that matter.
Oh. I blew through the Bay Area not too long ago, and Needle to the Groove was one that I really liked. There's one in Fremont, and there's, I think, a better one in San Jose. But yeah, it seems to have kind of dried up in the Bay Area.
Needle to the Groove's in Niles.
Niles Canyon. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been there. I bought some stuff there before too. Yeah, for sure.
Is that Fremont? Is Niles Canyon Fremont? Is there?
Yeah, but it's just they don't like to be called Fremont, and but yeah, Niles is part of Fremont for sure.
Okay. In your new kind of record renaissance, is there anything you rediscovered that something maybe you'd forgotten about for decades?
Well, I always go to the old standby, and not that I rediscovered it, but the records that I grew up listening to. My mom had gifted me the Beatles stuff that she had, that her and my late father had collected, and so I have, basically they didn't. I don't know if they ever got the earliest Beatles records, but they got in on the Rubber Soul up. So I have, I couldn't tell you what pressing it is of each one of those, but it's from the 60s. It's like Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's Magical Mystery Tour, White Album, Abbey Road, and Let It Be. I have those, and those are great standbys for me. But I can't say I rediscovered them because I never forgot them.
Right.
But there are. Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because you going backwards in the time machine. Something that really shocked me is when I was collecting the Genesis stuff, how good the Phil Collins era Genesis actually was, and I didn't like it because I was tired of Phil Collins in his solo career.
Oh, like at the time, about Duke, Abacab, and those ones.
Yeah, and even the self-titled one, the
Mama.
They're it's some kind of angry stuff, and I mean, I kind of lost it in the mix of all the metal I was loving and everything else. I didn't really pay attention, but when I went back and listened to those, I'm like, holy crap, man, those are great records. We hit those a lot in Toto, the old Toto stuff. I like to hit, pre 1981. Those records are pretty amazing, and I mean, there's so much, dude.
Yeah. At
this point, it's like I was actually thinking about locating into the living room to do this, and then being able to grab records. Nobody wants to see that shit. Like
they know what they look like.
Yeah, they know what they look like. Oh, here, this one. Yeah, you can't smell it. You're like, what's the difference? But I am definitely an enthusiast once again, and partially due to you.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm glad that happened, but apologize to your wife or any family members if I've contributed to your downfall.
She loves it too, because then she can pull out the Blondie records and the Pretenders records and the stuff that she really loves, and she likes listening to Toto when she cleans. The first Iron Maiden album, she's all, I feel like cleaning, just throw on Iron Maiden.
Oh, okay.
But she loves her metal too.
Yeah. Are there any records that you need to play without her around because it annoys her?
Anything with Venom. The other day, she loves Merciful Fate and King Diamond, but I played a bunch back to back. She's all, I've had about enough of the King today, and so that was pretty funny. But she's down for whatever I'm down with for the most part. You can't be together for 35 years and not like. If you're annoyed by everything, then it wouldn't have ever worked. So like, she likes a lot of what I like. And
35, goddamn. We just celebrated 20 years, and my wife's fucking way cool. But I have a rule. The only rule I think is no King Crimson in the morning.
I have some King Crimson. I have some. I have the Court of the Crimson King, and what's the other one? The Adrian Belew record. I think it was the first one that he was on.
Oh,
with the elephants, elephant
Talk.
Song, or
yeah, Discipline. Yeah,
that I actually like listening to that one a lot. That's got some good stuff going.
It was Red. Red was the one that made her say, "Yeah. This is nothing. I need coffee and something. We need to warm into this one."
Yeah. I love listening. I was just gonna say I love listening to the old Rush records a lot. Like I find Hemispheres still is my favorite Rush record, and it hasn't changed since I got back into vinyl. It's just something substantial in that record that I can delve into, and it makes me feel good.
Dude, you and I are 100% aligned on that. And one of the things I rediscovered, in the 90s, like most people, kind of went into CDs. It sounded cleaner. The promise of CDs sounded like it was a better world. And in that time, I loved my Rush records. I loved my Iron Maiden records. And then when I got those albums on CD, they kind of felt a little toothless. And I kind of set that music aside for a while because I thought, well, maybe I've kind of outgrown, maybe I'm in a different place. Maybe that was what young Nate liked. Maybe I'm in a different place now. And it wasn't until I got those records back on vinyl in the, late 90s or early 2000s. You can find them for like $1 at Rasputin's, right? You take them home, you play them, and it's like, there's the magic. The CD mastered versions just felt really thin. I didn't realize that it was the format that was affecting my judgment.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I like my music with a little hair on it, and what I mean by that is just, it's like I like my movies without too much HD, I don't, a little natural filter of the ether is okay by me, and that's what you're hearing. And with digital, it's so perfect that it is flat. It's But I will say do the same thing, and I love the way vinyl sounds. But MP3s have completely. I mean, you talk about toothless. They're gumming the music, and it's just like there's just this digital shriek that it's on some sort of it's a frequency we can barely even hear. So when I go back, and I rarely do it, but I'll go back and throw on a CD, and I'm like, wow, that does sound pretty good. Like they gave me I don't like it as much as vinyl, but it's second to vinyl because there is some clarity things that are just great about it. At least you don't get that digital shriek. It's about as good as it's ever going to get. And I know Neil Young did his thing. He's just trying to make music more perfect or whatever. I don't think that people necessarily want that either.
The Pono player, the lossless kind of format.
I mean, it's cool, but it's like when first time you see HD and on a movie that you kind of liked, and you're looking at it, and you're like, I don't want to see their makeup and hairspray. Like, I don't need to see. I don't, you put some hair on that, put some buzz around it a little bit. Maybe that's just with the needle and just the dust. That's magical to me. When I don't even clean my records like that, dude. I mean, if they're really bad, I'll wipe them down, but. To me, I don't even mind that crack because I get a nostalgic. It's a true comfort to me to hear those things and remember my youth and how I felt about everything, and my discovery of music and my deep love for all these bands was all through vinyl, and then everything is a better, newer way. Cassette, it's a better, newer way. CD, it's a way. It's just it's debatable.
It's funny you mentioned that because when the needle drops on the record and you hear that, you kind of hear that. To me, it's almost like when you open up a can and the cat comes running. It's like that. It's like that sound. That's like, oh, I'm about to. The next 20 minutes, I'm going to be focused on this music, and that's something that is baked in since youth, apparently.
That's a great analogy, and for me, it's when I open up the fridge and I open the bottom drawer and I pull out the cheese, and my dog comes running.
Yeah,
she hears the crackle of the cheese bag. My dog is a cheese freak.
So do you care about the collectability of records? Like first pressings or anything like that? Does that kind of matter much to you?
Not that much. I mean, it does matter. And if I was a true collector, and I was the air quotes out there, then it would mean a lot, because obviously the worth of these things, and resale value and all that stuff. But I'm not looking to resell. I'm not looking to like hop from one thing to another thing. I mean, usually like some of the coolest stuff I have like that, somebody will come across and say, "Hey, dude, I have this thing. Do you want it? It's one of the first," and then that's when I'll get it. But for the most part, I've been lucky to get some of those first pressings. Like yesterday was Metallica's Kill 'Em All's 40th. I bought that the very first day it came out. So did Alice. We didn't even know each other. My wife, we didn't know each other. She bought it the first day it came out too. Now we have two of those in our collection. Ride the Lightning, like all that first day buyer stuff. Merciful Fate's Melissa. I still have that original one, like stuff like that. The super metal stuff that I bought. I wish I had my old Maiden ones. Those are all disappeared with Russ, in the back of the '65 Mustang.
I used to buy every Maiden 12-inch when it came out. Boy, Maiden knew how to market back then. I would run to the record factory every time that something new would come out, and probably bought that guy a boat over the '80s.
Oh yeah. No, Maiden was it, man. I mean, they it had to work twofold. They knew how to market, but they actually did write great songs.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm one of those purists who still prefers the Paul Di'Anno albums, but knows that Bruce Dickinson's way better.
Mm-hmm.
It's like two things can simultaneously be true. It's not just one way. I don't have
Schrodinger's Maiden.
Yeah, peanut butter and chocolate do work together. Yeah.
Do you get into the box sets? Like Black Sabbath has put out a bunch of box sets the last few years. Is that something you'll run out and buy? Do you care about the extras and stuff that come with it?
I have a few. I have my son had got me the Motorhead box set, and then recently I bought the Celtic Frost box set, which I think is just so good. It's so good. I'm a big Celtic Frosty, and I also have an old Venom box set, which is the first three albums that I guess was given to me when I was with Combat Records way back in the day, walking through their warehouses of Important. I think I snagged that one. Don't have that many real box sets. I guess those three are the main ones. I think I have a couple others that they're not really memorable, obviously. But yeah, all those extras are amazing. You got all those little pins and patches and cool stuff and all those. But I don't know if you saw the Celtic Frost one or you liked them at all, but that is some epic artwork and story, and I just love that band.
Comes with a big booklet and everything inside.
Yeah, like a hardcover book inside of it, and a bunch of singles, all their albums, everything up to when they were really, really good.
Okay.
I want to profess my love for a couple of Aussie bands here that I absolutely love, that I just discovered, and I'm late, and everyone's gonna be like, "Really, you just got into them?" And yeah, Emil and the Sniffers and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Within the last 3 or 4, maybe 5 months, I just discovered Emil, and then the last King Gizzard album video popped up in my algorithm, and I was like, that's stunningly cool and funny and heavy. And then I went back and listened to all their stuff. I'm like, holy shit, what a band! In my career, Nate, of all the bands I've been in, I've actually covered a lot of genres. I'm going to ignore that phone; it's in the other room. But I've covered a lot of, I played, heavy music for the most part. But I've been pretty brave where other people haven't gone in this entire career that I've had. But to see one band do all of it and have become that popular is mind-boggling to me, and it gives me greater hope for the music, not the industry, but the music fan and the connection. Because man, that band does so much, and it's all good. I mean, not every song is as good as the next one, but it's when you have 25 records in 10 years. If you get half of it right, you're killing it. I mean, they're really good.
And with King Gizzard, they mix up their set so much, and they remember it all, right? Like they were doing. This was during COVID, and it actually unfortunately got canceled. But they were doing 5 nights in Sydney. Each night was going to be a different theme, and a different set list. And these are 3-hour shows. It's almost like that Sparks documentary where they did you saw they did the 12 shows in 12 days or something like that, which is incredible feat.
Well, I don't know if you've ever interviewed anyone in the band or
someone
knows somebody. Yeah, but please let them know how much they affected this guy. This thrash metal dude from California went back, and I love their other stuff. I love their mellow stuff and their beautiful stuff. I mean, I feel like I've got a life of discovery in that band, and I don't own any of their vinyl yet. I got to get some of their records. Oh, I just have to get them. Yeah.
I'll send me your address. I'll send you a couple of Australian pressings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got some here. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. I don't mind spreading the love. And Amel, have you seen Amel and the Sniffers live yet?
No, my wife bought me tickets for my birthday, and we're going to go see them in November. And I've seen them. I've seen tons of video. I just knew from just hearing the girl's attitude, and then I saw her like with interaction with the band. It was funny. I watched an interview with what's his name from Smashing Pumpkins,
Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan talking about when he played with them, and everyone's like, "You got to see this girl. You got to see this band. You got to see. She's like Iggy Pop. She's like this and that." He's like, "Stop. Like, let me just see if it's all hype or whatever. I don't want to hear about it." And then he did watch it, and he's all 5 seconds. She's one of one. There's only one. There's no. She's not an Iggy Pop. She's not this or that. She's just this firecracker, of attitude, and and she's just got all of the stuff that makes punk cool. The musicians out there that accidentally discover them and just go, holy shit, this is groundbreaking. And I feel like both of those bands, King Gizzard and Amel, they're both groundbreaking. And it's so cool that they're from Australia too. It's been a breeding ground for great creative stuff, but it seems like there's a renaissance there. You tell me, is there something going on there?
There absolutely is. And I think COVID may have had something to do with it because we had some of the most stringent lockdowns around the world. So pain makes great art. I think that may be a factor playing in here. Another band, and I think they're getting ready to tour California. You may want to check out if you haven't already. The Chats.
Oh, I've heard of the Chats. I've never actually checked them out. I'll check them out after we do this.
Yeah,
I'll put them in my queue right now while I'm talking to you.
Yeah, they're touring with another Australian band, an older Australian band, Cosmic Psychos. And
that sounds cool. That's a good
name. They are phenomenal.
There's a few bands out there that I'm tripping on now that they're not all from Australia too. There's was Pigs. I really like the Pigs times 7. They're from England. They're UK, and it's stoner rock, but like just sonically clear and fucking crushing. Singers like very pro wrestling, wears like sumo shorts, and they got something going on. And also the Idols, I should say. Idols is a really good band that I just checked out. And have you checked out Slift out of France yet?
Lift?
Yeah, SLIFT.
No.
Three piece, 2 brothers, and a drummer. But guitar player, singer, and bass player, drummer. Fantastic sonic scaping, great guitar effects, like Moog pedal effects on guitars, and just a cool. They're a live thing. Like if they have a video of them in some Cinedome with some, like, it looks like Tesla coils behind them, like giant Tesla. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing video on YouTube. I should send you the link for that.
Send me the link.
They're a live thing.
Are you familiar with Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats?
Oh yeah. I am. Okay. Actually. I have heard a little of them. Yeah, that's cool shit too.
Yeah, they're great. Another couple of Australian bands you may want to check out is Coffin. It's COFFIN, but it's an acronym. Kids of Ireland Fighting in Norway or something like that. But yeah, Coffin, These New South Wales, Private Function, Neptune Power Federation. That's an amazing band. They're out of Newcastle. Melbourne seems to be the hotbed though. Yeah,
it is. It's definitely impressing me. I something in the air and the water. Maybe COVID. Maybe you're right. Just the whole creative spurt. I know. I did a lot of creative stuff in that time period, so it works.
So with the new Forbidden Reborn, Forbidden Rebirth, is it just Forbidden? What are we calling it?
We'll be back after these messages. There's no doubt about it. Record collecting has become a serious hobby and even an investment for many around the world. So record collectors have to ask themselves how best to protect their prized records and confidently buy and sell with others. There is an option to consider: vintage media grading at vmgvinyl.com. vmgvinyl.com will professionally grade your record and encase it in protective plastic, so your record will retain its value for decades to come. This is the same approach that comic book and sports card collectors have done for years. Now, I know many record collectors will be horrified with the thought of having their records graded and encased in plastic. And for the majority of records, this isn't necessary. But if you have top dollar records that you need to protect, maybe a super rare album that's languishing on the shelf, a one-off misprint, or a special LP that you want to protect, look up vmgvinyl.com, Vintage Media Grading, and see if this service is right for you. That's Vintage Media Grading, vmgvinyl.com.
Hey everyone, I'm here to talk to you about Seems Easy record sleeve repair strips. Ever find a record in a used bin where the vinyl is gorgeous, but the sleeve has this ugly split and is even falling completely apart? Well, that's okay. Grab it anyway, because with Seems Easy record sleeve repair strips, you can fix that right up. Seems Easy record repair strips repair seam splits from the inside, so it doesn't affect the appearance of a record sleeve, but it does make it functional again. With Seems Easy, records can now slide in and out like new. Turn a $5 record into a $25 functioning collectible. Just ask your local record shop for Seems Easy strips, and if they're not in stock, go to seamseasy.com. That's Seems Easy with 2 Z's. Seems Easy record sleeve repair strips. Seems easy because it is. Oh, and hey, record nerds, don't forget to clean your records with the very best and safest record cleaner, the Groove Washer. Make your records look and sound their very best and store them with confidence using the new Groove Washer Groove Guard record sleeves. You gotta try this out. It makes a huge difference to the quality of your vinyl experience. Ask for the Groove Washer by name at your local record store and accept no substitutes. Or head over to groovewasher.com and use discount code VINYLGUIDE10.
All hail the Groove Washer.
That's groovewasher.com, discount code VINYLGUIDE10.
Now we return to the program, already in progress.
No limits.
So with the new Forbidden Reborn, Forbidden Rebirth, is it just Forbidden? What are we calling it?
It's forbidden, but I just refused when people kept saying a reunion. I'm like, no. I don't feel comfortable calling it a reunion because this is without Russ, who's my singer forever. But Russ had, pretty severe bout with alcoholism, and it took its toll on him, and it really affected the performances that he had when we came around last time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never thought I'd see it again. And that's why, to me, all these steps had to happen for me to even agree to do it. Other people told me I should be doing it. It just never seemed like it was attainable to me until a few different things had to all fall into place to make me go, okay, I'll give this a shot. And then having a singer like Norman Skinner, our singer, show me what he could do, and without me asking, it's just I don't know, Nate, it's just weird. It's such a bizarre feeling this time around, because the first time around you do the comeback, you're like, oh, it's going to be a comeback. It's it's a reunion. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. We're just going to do a few festivals. This time I'm very calculated because it took so many things, which I can get into, to make me do it, that I've got my heart invested into this thing this time, where I feel like this is a great fucking lineup. I have Chris Contos on drums now, and I have Matt, who played with me in Forbidden since the beginning, and Steve Smythe, who was, with me in Omega Wave. He was in Nevermore and Testament and stuff like that. But anyway, it's just the talent of these 5. I'll include myself in there. These 5 guys, they're really talented people, and everyone gets along good, and we police each other well. I feel there's way more potential in the future, and it seems like the world is more open for it now than it was even back then. I can't even tell you. We're getting so many offers that are, good, viable. It's got legs.
So we talked before COVID when you were on the show. I know you always had the attitude never say never, but that was not something that was kind of front of mind. Do you think the last few years you've softened, you've become a little bit more open to what these possibilities are?
Well, first of all, getting back to Russ, a few years ago, he reached out to me and I never really hear from him much. And he never even showed me where he lived. He never, Russ just kind of went reclusive and I didn't know what was going on with him. I knew he was working. I knew he was just doing stuff. And we talked, we text, how you doing? And there was no bad energy or bad air, but, he just retired because it was just too hard on his body. And alcohol, quite frankly, was more important to him, but he was in a bad way. And, he said, I'm not doing too well. On a text, I'm like, well, I said, what's your address? And when he shot me his address within a couple minutes, I was like, oh shit, he's not doing well. Because this is not that guy who likes people to know exactly where he lives. So I went and visited him and he was just very close to death. He was drinking one of those large bottles of Jack Daniels every 2 days, the jugs. Yeah. So he proceeded to tell me how bad his life was going and how sorry he was for what he did. What'd you do? I was like, I didn't try. I came up short. I never did a show without drinking. It's heavy stuff, man. So when that happened, I figured, well, then it's never going to happen now, but because I just knew that the recovery road for him wasn't going to involve going into a club or a venue and avoiding everything that's there. And being on a plane and avoiding everything that's there, or being in your hotel room. It's just no. I just knew. So I thought it was over then. At that point, I was like, okay, his sobriety is the key. So we got him into a rehab, and he ended up going to rehab for 45 days. Did really well for him, man. I think he relapsed one day, and he admitted it. He called me and told me, and then since then he's been sober. Lives with his sponsor. So. It's a long way to go, and no, I didn't see it coming. And the things that made it happen was I was doing this Bay Area International thing in Europe, and which is like where we honor all the Bay Area thrash and the biggest, our icons, but no one plays their own songs. So like if Exodus is there, they can't play their song. Okay. They have to play the Forbidden song, and it goes on like that. So we did a thing, but we didn't have any of our singers in town. Everyone was either in Europe or on tour or lived somewhere else. So I thought of Norman Skinner, who I knew was a great singer from here, considered a power metal guy, but really good, really good. I was like, oh yeah, have him come in and sing some song. So we had a Forbidden song, but like I said, no one plays their own song, and I was like, well, we should probably run through the Forbidden song one time just in case someone flakes out in Europe or something. And Norman was there, and he's just like pops up. He's okay. And I didn't really think twice about it, but as we were playing it, I was like, we started before you started singing. I was like, well, no one is going to play this. Why are we even doing this right now? This is whatever. We'll just see what happens. Dude starts singing, and it was shocking to the room that how powerful he sounded, but not sounding like Russ, but like a guy who. It sounded like he owned that song, and the door opened, and on the other side was Chris Contos, who ends up in Forbidden now. Because we had all four guys that were in Forbidden at that point. Our drummer Mark, who was in the band, Steve, Matt, myself, and Norman. And then door opens, and Chris just looks at me, and goes, "What the fuck?" Closes the door. It's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so it could be done, but I resisted, and I resisted, and I resisted. And then I just figured it still wouldn't happen. And then we do a Bay Area version of the show, and I invited Norm to come sing with us at the show this time. Come in, do some songs, and I'll give you a Forbidden song. I don't know if you ever heard of Warbringer, but I had the band Warbringer play this Chalice of Blood with him. So no one had actually heard it. No one had gone over rehearsal at all until they got there the night before from LA. And I watched him do it in a room full of people where everybody just turned and looked at me and said, what the fuck? It's just this unanimous, like, holy shit, that guy's perfect for this job. And I still resisted. And and then a few months later, man, I mean, still people are telling me I got to do it. You should do it. Death Angels asking me about doing Christmas shows with them. And I said, guys, I can't, I don't have a band. Like I'm not. And then it just wasn't quite adding up in my head. And then I got an email from the Alcatraz Festival, and it literally, and I'm paraphrasing, asked me if I'd be interested in a 35th anniversary show just for Forbidden Evil, just at this festival, exclusive. But I know Russ isn't doing well. Could you get another singer possibly? And what about Chris Contos on drums? Because he's a big, very important out here with Machine Head, Burn My Eyes, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, huh. And I was sitting in this very spot, and I just pushed my. Okay, the universe is telling me I got to consider this, and that was really the first steps. But I didn't even really want Chris to play drums because we're such good friends. So I had to go through like talking to other drummers first, is feeling it out, and they all wanted to do it, but no one was local. And I wasn't going to do it with Mark because Mark had quit Forbidden on tour in 2011, and we had to cancel an entire tour. So he's never been in Forbidden since, even though I played with him in Dress the Dead. Right. And internationally, he was not in Forbidden. It's just something I can't put on his plate because of the way his life is set up. So it was crazy. So since then, it's just been, I mean, we did our first warm-up show just last week, and that went really well. I don't know why people are so much more excited this time, but they are.
Wow. And you're getting ready to go to Europe. Now, I was looking for tour dates. What festivals do you have coming up? What do you have? What shows do you have?
This original one, this Alcatraz one that they asked me about, it's in Belgium, and it's about 25,000 people a day. A good-sized festival, not overly out of control. But I played that same stage last year with Dress the Dead. We played at 12:30 in the afternoon. And now we're taking Anthrax's spot at 6 p.m. at night because they had to cancel. That's one of the reasons why this came my way. Anthrax canceled their whole European tour, and this is what he thought of. My friend Mario, who runs that festival. So we're playing at prime time. I mean, that's prime time out there. I watched bands at 6 o'clock on that stage, and it was incredible. So I kidding. That's all we're going to do in Europe this year. And we have one warm-up gig 2 days before that in Belgium. Little club, sold out in like 5-10 minutes or something like that. But we're just doing, getting our feet down there this year, and then those Christmas shows with Death Angel at the end of the year that we agreed to after all this.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of festivals next year, man. I'm just going to do as many places that with maximum people, minimum dates, because I want to write a record. I think that's the biggest priority. So I've already started writing, and yeah.
That's the next question. So there will be another Forbidden record.
Well, I'm planning on it. You never know what happens between now and then.
Another pandemic.
I'm planning on it, and pandemic, fucking, whatever. I mean, I could lose a finger. Who knows? But you just never know. But I've started writing, and it's coming to me really easy right now. Probably the easiest it's ever come. Hey, here's a little byproduct, a little cool, little positive thing. Is that because we're doing Forbidden Evil's 35th, we wrote and recorded that album in the key, or in E, tuned to E. We're doing all these songs in E. No one does any of these songs anymore in E. No one has the singer that wants to sing in that key anymore. Everybody wants to be at least a half step down. But Norm is great, and he is, for the first practice, like that's not going to be a problem, So it's been really cool because it bounces like the old thrash metal stuff did, but it's a lot tighter and sounds better, tones are better, band plays better. It's just really cool.
Now, I know you've played all these festivals before, and no stranger to a large stage like that. How about Norman? Has he been in front of a crowd as big as the one he's going to see next week?
Nope. But he's what everyone's known about Norm forever. This is what the whole Bay Area, he's like the Bay Area secret. Like he's our secret, Rob Halford, or the guy of that ilk, and everyone's always known when he gets his chance, he's going to take off. Little did I know 2 years ago that this is his chance, but he's born for this stuff, man. He's a great stage motivator, great with the crowd. It's just a natural. He's a natural, and he was a Forbidden fan from when he was a kid. He used to come see us at the shows. Russ actually used to point him out when he had longer hair and call Little Russ, So it's like this is not far. The apple didn't fall far from the tree,
right?
And, I was just the last one to notice it. It was just sitting there, like I was the last.
You've been avoiding it for a while, though. I mean, you've held that resistance, but it's a bar. To me, it was like I always thought Forbidden would get back together. For that to happen, the quality of everything coming together would have to be extraordinarily high to get greenlit by Craig. And so to
And
me,
you're right.
yeah.
The main reason why it didn't happen is because my deep respect for Russ, right? Like, I mean, I was 15 when I met him. He was 22. He was older, so that puts you right there. He's like 60 right now. And but I just had this great, admiration and love for the my brother, my friend. And I wasn't about to try to, trounce all over his legacy for an opportunity. But I did reach out to him about all this. And it's funny because he was avoiding the call. And I went and talked to his sister, who I know, because when we put him in rehab, she was very instrumental in helping getting him back on his feet where he lives now in Arizona. I said, "Hey, how's Russ doing?" She said, "Oh, she's doing good." I'm all, well, I've been trying to get a hold of him, because there's a possibility of some forbidden stuff. And she's like, "Yeah, he's afraid you're going to ask him to join." I'm like, "No, tell him it's the opposite. Tell him I just want his blessing because we're going to do some stuff with another singer finally after all these years." And she's all, "Oh, you have his blessing." And then she wrote, "Yeah, we had his blessing." Like that was a relief to him because he didn't want to get involved in all that stuff again. So he's dead.
Okay. Because that's kind of tenuous because it could maybe that could have gone the other way though too. Something like that happening, the train taking off with him still on the platform, that could have been a bit of a spiral for him too. You kind of don't know in that situation.
Well, and that's still a possibility that it could affect him in a negative way, but that's within him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's all within him. We did our due diligence. We reached out to him. Me and Matt both did. And he told Matt a year ago, he's all, "Just, you could do forbidden, just don't, you're not going to do it with me. I can't afford to do it anymore with my life." So he was already like, "This is a chapter of my life I'm closing. I don't want to go backwards." And I respect that too, and we're honoring him in many ways. And even for the first show, I kind of explained things to the crowd and, and they responded to that really well, and they loved Norman. So this is really, it's kind of rarefied air to have it all working out this way. And I appreciate it more now than I ever would have. I don't take any of this stuff for granted anymore. I haven't for a long time, but right now it's like, it's kind of obvious to me that these opportunities are so rare, and I have a chance for part 3 here. It's not a reunion. It is a rebirth because it's 2 different guys that were never there before. So it's a reboot. Anything but reunion. Just anything, just not union.
A reunion always seems very like it's finite. Like we're getting together for a reunion. It's a day. We reminisce. We look backwards. But like a rebirth is like, okay, now let's look forwards. Let's build something new and different.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Reminisce. We're reminiscing.
Reminiscing.
Reminisce. Oh yeah.
So what's the deal with the forbidden vinyl reissues? Are we going to start seeing some of the catalog out in print? Any particular reissues or even remix or remasters coming?
I want to do a little. Well, see, remixing. Back in the old days, we should remix that, but I don't want to remix this stuff because I know it's got flaws. But that's what we were talking about earlier in this show. For anyone that was in the beginning, it's like that is the way it was. And they're not horrible mixes. So nothing was mixed badly. We had John Verde, and we had some really good people along the line doing these mixes. Yeah. But I could remaster until, whatever. But 35 years. So with the 35 years, that was our contractual commitment with Relativity and Combat here. So we're about to hit it when that actual date comes, when the album was released in November or October, upcoming here. So it in concept, that becomes released back to us again. Century Media did some reissues a few years back. I helped them with the liner notes and stuff like that, but that's not all our control. That's what I want to get into, where we control it all. So, Twisted in a Form, which came out in 1990, that's 35 years next year, around March. So we're free. And so, I have our attorney, who's Eric German, just great. I mean, Nobody should know attorneys' names, but he's great. He handles some really, really big acts. Big Forbidden fan. One of the things he's going to do is get our rights back for this stuff, and then also Green and Distortion need to be. Distortion's not even out streaming anywhere. It's just like it only exists on YouTube and your CDs, you know. So these are things I want to get control on. Releasing the demos that I've always wanted to do. There's bootlegs of the demos that we never gave permission for, but this is the stuff I'm trying to get our hands around in the next year, like everything. And then that way I can collect some money from that, give it to Russ, give it to the guys. Everyone, you know, Forbidden always distributed everything evenly, even if I did the lion's share of the writing. I just never believed that. I don't know. I always felt funny about that. Like, that's
creates
my
a weird schism in a band in that way.
It does, you know. And then the other flip side of it is that this is just musical politics. It's in one way it's great because everyone feels like they have an equal stake in it, but in the other way, then creatively and decisions that happen, sometimes they feel like they have more of a say than they do. You know, so there's got to be like a line drawn in the sand. Like, this is so we have all this together, but certain decisions are not everyone's decision. You know, some things are going to be like, there is a, you know, veto power in very small instances. But yeah, I try to like keep that friendship and that brotherhood, no matter what I'm doing, no matter, you know, this goes back to the beginning of Forbidden. I mean, we were the first band to ever put a thrash metal band to ever put a drummer's name next to a writing credit. And Paul Bostav never picked up a guitar in his life because I believed that a drummer in thrash metal is pivotal to making that song, propelling that song. I didn't tap it all out in a drum machine. You know, I didn't sit there and like, play this. Slayer, they never gave Lombardo credit. Man, did he deserve it? You know, like, and it goes on. You know, Lars actually gets credit because he just sits back and barks things. And so that's kind of like what Paul did. So I guess Lars would have been the very first one. But other than that, it's like, unless you picked up a guitar like Charlie Benante, you weren't going to get writing credit.
So things are starting to kind of coalesce. The lawyers probably already got all the documentation typed out, just waiting for the day to send it.
Yeah, he's been working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's exciting.
All the original demos you've now got digitized, ready to go. Is there anything missing? Okay. Well, you know where they're at.
Yeah, they exist. Yeah, they exist.
Be careful.
And I know.
Be careful with the Hayward heat.
There's some ADATs around that I know who to get them from. So there you go.
Now, the other projects you've been in, God, we didn't even talk about the boneless ones. Dress the Dead, is that still ongoing band?
Yeah, well, it is ongoing, on pause going. But, you know, that was part of the ingredients that made this kind of possible. Is we had a little, after we had a little falling out within the band, and it, you know, I was getting a lot of pressure that didn't need to be there. It's a long story, but it kind of opened up the door for this Forbidden thing to make more sense to me, where this whole next year was all going to be Dress the Dead stuff. We were going back to Europe. We were going to put an album out. We just released an EP that just came out on my birthday on the 27th of June. And people, I'm actually blown away by the response, because I kind of thought it would fall between the cracks, and people love it. And that's really cool to see. It's motivating, you know, because I do plan on reigniting it. And it's, on one hand, it sucks for the other people in the band, but I put years into that and my reputation on the line, and got things done for that band that, you know, quite frankly, wouldn't have been done otherwise. And it was just turning our way. You know, it was just like, after we went to Europe last year, played the Dynamo Festival, played Alcatraz, played the Dynamo Club. People responded to us great. Kayla Dixon is a phenomenal talent. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of starting to happen, but it was crawling along, because inner band bureaucracy is like, that's a son of a bitch, man. It kind of rolls back to what I was saying about splitting things evenly. You know, like, sometimes that means that decisions get lost in the quagmire and they just grind. Gridlock, as they say. So yeah, that was happening. And then this Forbidden thing came up, and I just said, man, I got to do what's right for the universe and for me. And this is ridiculous. I'm going to take time off from that for a bit. And now I have this EP that people are responding to so favorably, which is great. so we can at least come back and reattach ourselves to it when I get a break from doing all. But it's good. I don't know how long it's going to be, Nate. I don't know, because Forbidden is getting real offers, real things, and that's my legacy as much as Dress the Dead or anything I've ever done, if not more, because it goes back to my childhood. So it is what it is.
Forbidden's heating up. It sounds like you got to pay some extra attention to that.
The boneless ones is the other thing. You'd mentioned that, and I got to tell you a little story about the boneless, because the boneless ones came to me through Chris Contos, who I play with now in Forbidden. But I saw they are around here. They're a legacy punk rock band, a legacy skate rock band that I saw play their last show in 1986 on the Berkeley campus. And the cops came, and it was a riot, and people scrammed in every direction, and they broke up for years. And but they were amazing because they had an amazing guitar player, Luke Skeels was his name, and he since has passed away. So Chris, I started seeing stuff from Chris on his Facebook page, boneless one stuff, like hats and stuff. Like, what are they back? Like, I was interested. I was like, what's going on? So then one day he just randomly calls me. He said, hey, dude, I want to talk to you about something. And I was like, what's up? He's like, well, we're doing the boneless ones. I'm like, well, yeah, I heard that, but I haven't heard anything. He's like, well, they had a guitar player who was really good, but he was more of a blues and punk guy. He wasn't really a metal guy. He's like, would you be interested in talking to these guys and seeing if you want to write a record with us? So that started this whole thing where I went and met the guys, and I listened to their demos that they were writing before, like back in the 80s. And I was like, these could be great. I got, punk's also in my repertoire. I grew up on all the 3-letter punk bands, and everybody else, Circle Jerk's one of my favorite fucking bands of all times. Like, I'd have fun doing this. It was during COVID too, Nate. So I was like, what the fuck else am I going to do? So so there's a whole bunch of like, it was a good opportunity for me to like get my picking hand fast again. And so a lot happened, and then we made a record, and I helped write it, and it turned out great. And Matt Weiniger mixed it. Who, if you know who Matt is, yeah, Matt's one of the best out there. He's also been a friend of mine since childhood. So, and he loved it. He loved mixing it. He's like, this is great. This is like, because it was just like 4 guys playing, and it just sounds alive. So that album's called Back to the Grind, and there's songs being picked up for movies and TV. It's like there's something about it. I don't have to work too hard. It's fun.
Yeah,
and the music's contagious, and I get to shred a bunch. I get to play a little more solos than I usually would because there's room for it, and I'm having a blast doing it. So we're playing Dynamo. Actually, the week after Forbidden plays Alcatraz, boneless ones are playing Dynamo. And Dynamo Festival, and we're playing right before Sepultura on the opposites. There's 2 stages, they go back and forth. So we've got a prime time to do that. And man, so I hope to do that like into my really old age. I hope that boneless ones could go have fun, a few times a year, and keep it. We have a slogan: keep the fun fun. And we have to remind ourselves of that, like this. Let's just make sure that this isn't work.
Right.
It should never be work. It's punk rock.
No, that's on streaming, and it's also bonelessones.bandcamp.com. So
yeah, there's vinyl too.
Back to the Grind. Yeah, it looks like some of the splatter vinyl's been sold out, but there's another pressing of it as well. So, all right, man. Look, we need to do this more often. Let's not leave this across a pandemic till next time, man.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you those links, and I appreciate your time, and it's great talk, man. And I hope to see you in Australia next year.
Ooh, that gives me hope. Are you seeing glimmers of Australia in the near future?
I might be.
Oh, okay. Sounds like the wheels are turning. All right, dude. We'll exchange some information. I'll send you over packages, some good stuff, and great catching up, Craig.
Great catching up with you, Nate. Have a good one.
You too, man. Cheers.
All right, take care.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to talk to Craig, either on or off mic. And again, everyone, make sure you check out the latest news on Forbidden, officialforbidden.com. Of course, they're on Facebook and Instagram as well. And don't forget, there's an extended version of this interview, another 20, 25 minutes, something like that, only available at patreon.com/vinyl guide. Head up there now, help support the show, and enjoy all the extras. And that's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share these episodes on social media. Put them on Facebook, tweet them out on Twitter, put them in the Reddit forums or the Facebook groups. Let your buddies know all about the Vinyl Guide podcast and how they can enjoy it on that smartphone of theirs. Some people need a little extra help and nudging, and that's okay. Please give them a hand. They'll love you for it, and so will I. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, get out there and buy some records, people. Cheers.
That's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Send your thoughts to Nate at thevinylguide.com or follow or tag us on Instagram at Vinyl Guide. Until next time, keep spinning.